You're breathtaking. Hey, bro, watch your jet. Watch your jet, bro. Watch your jet.
Hi, hello, welcome, boys and girls, everything in between, everything beyond. Um, Welcome to the G spot, and the G actually doesn't stand for what the fuck is his name, uh, Griffenberg or something like that. But yeah, it stands for who should run the government, which is gamers, and this podcast is going to be hosted by me, and my guests will be my other personalities, my friends who don't disappear as long as I don't take my schizophrenia medication. So until then, the only person you have is me. And what I'm gonna try to do at least, is I'm going to talk about uh, gaming, as the G stands for, as we've previously discussed, and technology, stuff like that, everything that interests me and I feel like I have something to say about, or don't. This is the state of the internet now. Everyone has to have an opinion. Everyone cannot shut the fuck up. And yeah, I am no better, and I'm not gonna pretend to be riding a higher horse. I'm sipping on some coffee because it is still morning and I'm not fully awake yet. Excuse me. But yeah, this is gonna be a short one because it's just like a test run. I just want to see how I would do. This has been on my mind for a while. As with all males, at least the biologically born ones, we have a tendency to not talk about our feelings to people who we should talk about our feelings to, like your partner, therapist, I don't know, your reverend, whoever. But rather we go out there and we do what we do, which is like podcasting and having the audacity to revel in the manhood, the mansphere. Andrew Tate's follow those and repeat everything they say. I'm getting off on a tangent. It doesn't matter. I'll probably talk about those things later on, but not now. This is the first episode. I'm gonna try to keep it light. So it's gonna be very difficult because the latest three games that I've played that I want to talk about are in order: Gotham, goddamn, and Scorn. I actually played Scorn before I played Gotham, and because I didn't pretty much have anything to play these past couple of days, I've replayed Mafia One, the remastered. My friend was going to play it, and I was like, "All right, fuck it, I'll join." So, anyways, I want to talk about Scorn first, and I was actually very hyped on Scorn. I wanted to experience. It seemed like the world is built in a certain way that looks kind of like disgusting, and I didn't know about the artist that the word design was inspired by and stuff like that. But it looked very interesting, and that sort of like cosmic horror, that sort of like biopunk, that seems like futuristic, but also like fleshy and moist. That seemed interesting, and I thought it could offer a very enjoyable horror experience, which in the most part it didn't disappoint on that aspect. Like, the word design is fucking incredible. I thought it was amazing. However, the gameplay was boring. The gameplay was very, very, very boring. I did not enjoy a second. Well, that's an exaggeration, actually. At first, the fact that there's no UI, there's no objective. You're just like looking around, and you're like, all right, that seems like a square, and that seems like a place where a square should go. So I'm just gonna try to get that square into that spot, and you're just like Well, they don't use squares. They use like fucking creatures that are bleeding and begging for their lives in their own way. But yeah, I thought it was intriguing at first. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I can do it and I should in order to progress. It was just like this meaningless form of torture and uh, aimlessness in what I'm doing, but there is a sense that it's going somewhere, and I enjoyed that at first, but it started to wear off more and more. I got into it, and what I've seen later on, it seemed like the game had sort of like a deeper meaning, and the fact that the gameplay was that way was intentional. You know, that's fine if that's their take on what a game should be. I'm not gonna be mad at that, but uh, I at first I thought it was boring, but after like it's like seeing the other angles of other people playing it, and then I understood that it's not that the game is boring; it just wasn't for me. It's not for my 5-year-old brain who likes explosions and goo goo gaga. But anyways, so that's Scorn. I pretty much recommend that people would give it a chance because it could be for them. It wasn't for me, but I understand the appeal for those who sort of like take something deeper from it. I just thought the gameplay was boring, and it's the same problem that I've had with in. I'm gonna be crucified for this, but Death Stranding. I thought the gameplay was incredibly boring. I thought the game was very boring. From I had other issues with the game, mainly with it, like uh, uh, some of the dialogue and like how much on the nose everything was. Sand bridges, building bridges, connecting people. Yeah, at some point, I remember like in the dialogue, they even say like "Death Stranding." It's the Death Stranding or something like that. I thought that was mind-numbingly stupid the way they did that. But like the story overall seemed fine. Atmosphere again, fucking incredible. Music, like the score on that game is fucking fantastic. But the gameplay though, like everything around the game was good except for the gameplay itself, which was very boring, and I found it to be incredibly boring. And so yeah, that's why I didn't play the game. But I understand the appeal, and I understand like people who like walking simulators. It offers such a great experience as a walking simulator, plus these great things around it. Like I said, like the music, the atmosphere, the graphics, all of those things. So when you have those, and you already like walking simulators, this is the perfect game for you. Whereas I don't like walking simulators. And I know some people want to argue, well, but it's not a walking simulator, it's this and that. At the core of the day, it's a walking simulator. You're like managing how to walk from point A to point B. It's a walking simulator. No matter how many layers it has, even if it has monsters or I don't know, I don't remember like any of the fucking things it had, the black gooey things, whatever. Even with those things, at the core, it's still you're walking from point A to point B, and you're sort of like managing how to do that. And the game offers like sort of like a physics simulation that would be the challenge and the reward uh, on its own. So that was my gripe with Death Stranding, and I assume it's the same with Scorn. Different details here and there. But at the end of the day, yeah, I thought the gameplay was incredibly boring. And then, and then I played Gotham, unfortunately, and yeah, that game was a seizure developed by game developers. I couldn't believe how much fun I wasn't having. I was I not only hated what I was playing, I was having negative fun. Like I needed to do something fun afterwards so I can go back to being a person, so I can go back to being neutral, normal. Like the decisions that they made. First of all, Batman dies in like the first 2 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever. Like they have this kind of a long cinematic of Ra's al Ghul or whatever fighting Batman, and some of the scenes in the fight don't make sense. Like Ra's al Ghul is like this fucking strong, and Batman is like hitting him with whatever, and he doesn't fall down, but all of a sudden Batman hits Ra's al Ghul with his head. He head bumps him, and Ra's al Ghul is knocked the fuck out. And then he gets up afterwards, but like all of those things didn't knock you out when he threw whatever, but like a head butt was enough to knock out this mystical being. But anyways, I don't want to talk too much about Gotham because it makes me depressed, and I think about doing awful things to people when I think about that game. So I'm just gonna be brief. The making the jumping button. Wow, making the jumping button be the same one as I think running. I'm kind of like I genuinely I'm having a bit of a hard time remembering the game because I think my brain treated it as a traumatic experience that I need to emit and bury deep in my psyche and not think about. But the jumping button was. Why do I keep saying button? The jumping. I can't think of another word other than button. I wanted to replace it. God damn. The space bar does two functions. And I think it runs and it jumps. And when you approach when you approach, or is it the shift button? I don't remember. Anyways, the button that jumps is the one that runs. And if you do this, uh, many games did this before. If you press that button and you keep holding it, your character will parkour because the game understands that you're pressing the button that does the running and also jumping. So if you combine those, if you're running and jumping, that means you're crossing obstacles in relatively faster speed than say if you were walking. And since you don't have access to a separate jumping button, that means that the game should on its own understand that you're trying to do parkour. So if you reach a ledge, it will jump off. If you say you're crossing like a window or something, it will just do parkour. But not in Gotham. You have to stop and then remove your finger from that button and then press it again, so the game understands that you are trying to jump off this ledge, which is ooh fucking insane. Yeah. So, and that's not like my only gripe with the game. That's just like the thing that made me foam at the mouth from how angry I was playing that game. It was like such a stupid fucking decision. I don't understand how it was like. Didn't you have like game testers who were like, "Yo, what the fuck is this? Whose idea was this? And are they okay? Do we need to worry about these people because what system allowed for people to think that this was a good idea? Like we need a radical change, change the team, change the president, change whoever, because this is not right. So I played Gotham for about collectively, and I tried it twice. I've played the first time I played like 10 minutes, and I was like, yeah, this is not good for my health. It's not good for my anger management problems, and this is gonna set me back a couple years in therapy. So I'm just gonna stop here. And then I kind of doubted myself for a second. I was like, well, it's by the same developers that made the Batman games, and I loved those games. Maybe it was just like, it was just like whatever. I'm gonna give it another go. And I did, and I wish I didn't, because I was uh it was a weird state of being playing that game. I'm not gonna lie. So if you're in the market for uh, dangerously putting your mind in extreme situations, if you're like a military organization who's preparing people for war, if you're preparing people for extreme stressful situations like I said, like a war, or like a military operation that's very difficult and stuff like that. Basically, if you're trying to stress the brain to a certain point, to train it to be stressed to a certain point and keep its composure, make them play Gotham. That's it. Moving on. So, next game that I'm gonna briefly talk about is Mafia 1 Remastered. After replaying the game, at first I was so excited when it first came out because I loved the first Mafia game when I was a kid. I loved it. Then Mafia 2 came out and it became one of my favorite games. I loved everything about the game. So when they announced like a remaster of Mafia 1, and I was like, oh, I don't remember much of this game, but I remember I had a lot of fun. I love the sequel, and I want to like replay the first one in like newer graphics and stuff like that. And they did a very good remaster. Like it wasn't just some bullshit reskin, whatever. Like it was very good. And I played through it. The driving was kind of boring, but that's like the setup forced them to make it that way because it's like the 1930s. Um, Dialogue was good sometimes. Sometimes it was just like whatever, and the voice acting for the most part it was fine. Score was nice, I suppose, especially for its time. Graphics were very good when the game came out. I remember I was kind of impressed, but now, it still holds. Like you can definitely play the game and like be, especially the cinematics. They look fantastic. But I guess my only gripe with the game that it felt short and the story felt rushed. And I don't want to get into any spoilers. Maybe someone didn't play it yet, but it felt rushed at the end because the conflicts it didn't make a lot of sense, and they just like, hey, you didn't tell me the secret about having three bananas. You mentioned that you only had two bananas, and the guy was like, okay, I'm sorry, I wouldn't do that again. And then uh the other guy just goes and plans like a whole fucking coup and tries to kill the person for lying about bananas. That didn't happen exactly about bananas, but that's what it felt like. The conflicts seemed to grow out of nowhere and then escalate to, I'm gonna fucking kill you, even though we have a history of like being friends or being partners for like 20 years. So that was weird. But overall, it's like a fine experience. It's like a 7 out of 10, maybe. When I first played it, I in my head it was like an 8.5 out of 10. But now that I played it, and maybe like also like the value of the replayability value. I can't say words anymore. God damn. Yeah, the value of replaying the game. Maybe because I've already played it and it was like I was not like surprised by the twists and turns here and there. It kind of like took away the magic of trying it the first time. So like giving it a lower score could be that. It could be that, but as it stands for me right now, it's like a 7 out of 10 game. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the games that I've played lately. Because I want to make this episode short and it's already too long and longer than I am looking at like the time how much I recorded. I'm not gonna talk about tech. Maybe next time. I'm gonna try next. I'm gonna try Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Warzone 2. It comes out tonight. It's actually like 7 hours away from being out there, and I'm gonna try that and see what's up. And also, in 2 days, Spider-Man Miles Morales is coming out. I love the first one. I've played it on PC, of course, and I can not wait to dive into Miles Morales and see what the fuck is going on there. So until then, thank you for listening. If you made it to this point, and I'll see you in the next one if I do make another one. Peace out. Bye.